Did you know one of the most complex criminal investigations in recent years was solved because of something most people would have wiped away without thinking? It began as a routine missing person report when a woman walked into a police station and calmly told officers her husband never came home from work. He wasn't answering his phone, he hadn't contacted friends, and according to her, that wasn't like him. At first nothing seemed alarming because adults go missing for all kinds of reasons such as stress, affairs, financial trouble, or even voluntary disappearance. But then his car was found. It was parked neatly in a shopping center lot just 15 minutes from his office with no broken windows, no forced entry, and no signs of a struggle, looking as if someone had simply parked and walked away. Security footage confirmed he had arrived alone, and what disturbed investigators wasn't what they saw, but what they didn't see. Hours of footage showed the vehicle entering the lot but never leaving, with no clip of him walking away, no rideshare pickup, and no suspicious individuals approaching the car. He arrived, and then he vanished. Detectives processed the vehicle carefully, expecting something obvious like blood transfer, fibers, fingerprints, or a threatening message on his phone. But instead, they found nothing. His phone contained normal conversations, no recent arguments, no visible threats. His browsing history was ordinary, and there were no financial red flags, no large withdrawals, and no unusual transactions. The case began to stall as days turned into a week. Media coverage increased. Volunteers searched wooded areas. Divers checked nearby water, and still nothing was found. The investigation was quietly drifting toward cold case territory until one forensic technician paused while vacuuming the interior of the vehicle for trace evidence, and noticed something on the driver's side floor mat. Tiny light-colored particles embedded into the fabric. At first glance, they looked like ordinary dust, the kind that collects in any car. But something about the texture caught her attention because the particles were slightly crystalline and not consistent with normal road debris or asphalt. Instead of dismissing it, she collected the sample. And under microscopic analysis, the particles revealed a rare mineral compound, a processed industrial aggregate used primarily in specialized concrete mixtures. Even more specific, the compound had a unique additive blend recently introduced in only one location nearby, a newly renovated industrial warehouse on the outskirts of town. Suddenly, investigators had direction, and they pulled traffic camera data from routes between the shopping center and the warehouse during the window when the man disappeared. That's when they noticed something subtle. Another vehicle had been following his car earlier that evening. Not closely, not aggressively, just far enough behind to look coincidental. The vehicle belonged to one of his coworkers. When questioned, the coworker appeared cooperative and insisted he had been home that night alone watching television. But investigators were no longer looking for obvious lies. They were looking for inconsistencies. Phone data revealed something critical. His device had been powered off for nearly 2 hours that evening, the exact time frame during which the missing man's phone stopped transmitting. Most people power their phones off rarely, and almost never for precise windows of time. Investigators obtained a warrant to examine the coworker's vehicle more closely. And inside the trunk beneath the carpet lining, forensic teams discovered microscopic traces of the same mineral compound found in the missing man's car. The warehouse became the next focus, as it was under renovation with limited security and minimal staff during late hours. And inside, forensic examiners discovered faint tire impressions on the concrete floor consistent with the coworker's vehicle model and tire wear pattern. Not definitive alone, but combined with the mineral trace evidence and phone shutdown window, the pattern was tightening. Financial records then revealed an additional motive, as the two men had been involved in a quiet dispute over a private investment and a failed side business where money was owed and tensions had escalated in recent weeks. Under mounting pressure, the coworker's story began to unravel, and investigators theorized he had lured the victim to the warehouse under the pretense of resolving the dispute, staging the parking lot scene to make the disappearance appear random or voluntary. He believed no one would ever connect the parked vehicle to the warehouse, and honestly, he might have been right if not for dust. The smallest detail that most drivers would brush away without a second thought. Forensic science often focuses on dramatic evidence, like fingerprints, DNA, or weapons. But some of the most powerful breakthroughs come from trace materials, such as fibers, soil, pollen, or microscopic residue. In this case, the mineral compound acted like a geographic fingerprint, placing the victim's vehicle at a location investigators had no reason to suspect. And eventually confronted with mounting forensic evidence, the coworker confessed. The missing man had lost his life inside that warehouse, and the coworker had attempted to clean the scene, relocate the vehicle. and erase digital trails, but he underestimated persistence and the power of someone who refuses to ignore a small inconsistency. This case is now cited in forensic training seminars as a textbook example of why trace evidence and attention to detail matter, because crimes are rarely undone by dramatic mistakes but by tiny ones, a grain of dust, a pound of phone, a faint tire mark. Most people look at the big picture, investigators look at what doesn't belong, and in this case, what did belong was a few grains of powder on a floor mat that carried the story of where that car had truly been. The case that seemed destined to go cold was solved not by luck or chance, but by someone who stopped and asked, "Why is this here?" And sometimes that question is enough to expose everything. If you found this case fascinating, subscribe for more deep dive true crime breakdowns where small details lead to shocking revelations, because the next case we cover might hinge on something even smaller.